Cheers, guys. Epix911, welcome to the Elitist Geek, and a follow-up video that I want to do on the video that I released yesterday, which, to put it mildly, created a bit of a firestorm, lots of very passionate discourse, and not much was said, by the passionate people involved. That was incorrect. Pretty much valid points. And looking back at my video, I can see where I erred. I erred in tainting a lot of the games with my own innate biases, right? In wanting to warn people to be cautious, I think I crossed the line on letting my bias be, the terms of that caution, right? As opposed to just saying, look, this is what we know so far about these games. These are the facts. Judge for yourself. So moving forward, I'm going to leave my biases out of news reports, because that's what that was. It was not a review video. It was a news report about what games are out there. And well, a news report should be unbiased. And like I said, I was wrong in that video, in that it was extremely biased, both against early access, and I don't make too many apologies about that because I do have strong feelings with early access. But even with regards to early access, I say that on the one hand, and yet I've supported early access. Kickstarting is one of the, kind of most extreme forms of early access backing. And I've personally supported several Kickstarters. I did my research on all those Kickstarters, and I made sure that, I probably had a good chance of seeing something returned. But there's always on the back of your mind, are you going to see a return on your Kickstarting funds, right? The Kickstarts that I backed were mostly from In Exile. And that's Brian Fargo, for anybody who doesn't know, who used to head Interplay Productions. The original Wasteland, Bard's Tale. They had a lot of their games published by Electronic Arts. Based on his industry experience, I was fairly confident he would deliver, right? So I backed, and so far, he's delivered, right? It's taken a while, but that's okay. That was all part of the expectation. But Wasteland 2, in my opinion, was a very good game. And definitely got my money's worth. And I supported more than just the game. I think I supported to the tune of $275 on that specific game, right? You look at my Steam library, I've also backed lots of early access games in that, right? That's not to say I haven't been burnt. I was burnt quite a few times. That's where I talked about Starbound as one of those examples. But what I will do moving forward is not taint news reports with that bias. I'll leave that for game reviews, because a lot of people looked at that video yesterday and took it to mean, wow, he's saying that about the game, but he hasn't even looked at it. No, because it wasn't a review, right? It was an opinion about several games that were coming out this week where I think you should or shouldn't have spent your money, right? But in looking back, again, I have to separate the bias from that. Just the facts. It's something I do in my own personal life, right? I believe in fact-based evidence. So I got to practice what I preach, and I won't taint future news with that. The game that had all the passion was Octoshield. And I've taken the time since then. I've purchased the game. I'm going to be doing a review on the game. But I took the time to kind of go through the Reddit, because some people pointed me, he's got a Reddit and he's slamming you. No, he wasn't slamming me. He was doing what any author, any artist would do. He was being passionate about his game. And assumptions were thrown out. Assumptions were thrown out by me, and assumptions were thrown out on that side, that he doesn't know about devs. I do actually know about devs. I've worked at Electronic Arts for many years in game development. I've been involved in indie game development myself. I'm a programmer. I'm an IT guy. I program, multiple languages. I've supported indie authors like Jeff Vogel from Spiderweb Software for as long as I can remember. I mean, that's like since the early 90s. So, there were incorrect things said on both sides. But what I don't want to make excuses for is how I brushed Octoshield with the early access brush, because that was unfair of me. In looking back in that video, the points that those passionate people, including the author, make are valid points, right? So moving forward, again, I'm going to separate, and news will truly be news without my bias. All bets are off when I review the game, but I'll be clear on that, right? And I'll be clear when it's news. So I just want to address a couple of the points that were raised, right? And for example, the author stated, like I said, I don't know about development. I've mentioned I do. And then he said a few things like the part about his game specifically, that at no single moment does he talk about the game itself. He just basically says early access, stay away, and that's it. And correct, I did. And that was wrong of me. I admit that was wrong. I shouldn't have said that. And I can only assure people that moving forward, that won't be the case. And I'm going to make a correction in that video linking to this one to explain that, right? And I will be doing a future review on Octoshield. Like I said, it's 450 megs and it's probably installed by now. So I'll give it a shot and let my honest opinion be known on it. And I know people are going to jump on that and say, well, of course you're going to say something negative. Well, all I can say is, for me, it's always about the game. If the game's good, it's going to stand on its own merits. And at the end of it, you're just going to have your own opinion. Whether I like it or not, well, that remains to be seen, right? So he says, I'm pretty sure he doesn't even know what the game is about, nor have played it or even watched the effing trailer. Well, he's correct in that I hadn't played it, right? Again, it was a news link on, what my opinion was on what people should spend their money on. And I've already said I unfairly put that on the brush of steer clear because it's early access. But I did watch the trailer. But this is where I would offer some constructive criticism back, is I think the trailer, which is 1 minute and 12 seconds long, doesn't do a great job of selling the game. To me, it looked like a quickie carnival style game. Very much like the Space Pirate Trainer. Very much that same kind of thing. You're in a octagonal room, throwing your shield kind of like you would in a carnival, like the old Duck Hunt games, right? Not necessarily a bad thing, but my main message there was a game like that is going to stand on its own merits. Steer clear of it through early access, and if it's a good game when it's actually released, revisit it then. And I still stand by that, but I didn't do a good job explaining that in the video, and I should have been much more clear that when I say steer clear, I don't mean forever and always. I mean steer clear while it's in early access, and then decide once it's out if you think it's a game that's worth $5. Read the reviews. Go into the discussion forums. Those are all things I should have said, and I didn't. They were things I was thinking, but didn't translate into the spoken word. So what you were left with was me basically saying, steer clear, it's early access. And I can't say that's incorrect. I did say that, and I can see exactly how that comes across, right? So I'm trying to clarify that now. That's what I meant. Steer clear in the interim, and I still maintain that with early access. If you're the developer's buddy, close circle of friends, that developer has a history, like Brian Fargo did with me, for me to kickstart back him, by all means, back that person, right? Or you just feel like a good person and you want to back another artist, fine. But as a general rule, that's where I'm coming from. I don't believe in early access. I just don't. And then he made a comment about the logo. And honestly, I got that logo from the Steam page that I linked in the sources. And absolutely, they're not incorrect. It was just a Google screenshot that I grabbed. I had watched the trailer and grabbed a screenshot, and that was it. I made no claims on having played any of these games. It was strictly a news thing. And again, for the umpteenth time, moving forward, I'm going to make sure I separate that. And I'm going to do this game some service by reviewing it. And like I say, hopefully in this video, clarifying what my intentions were. And then the last point that the author made, he goes, what is the point of informing gamers for 15 minutes on YouTube if you don't even take the time to check that you took the correct logo, or even maybe actually check the game's page? And I can't disagree with that either. Like, that's a valid point. I definitely would take more care in a review. And with this specific game, like I said, it was early access and I didn't take it further than that. I'm going to make sure that moving forward, something even as, benign as a screenshot should be represented accurately. Agreed. I can't disagree with that. So other than that, to the author himself, I just want to say, I apologize for the way that came across in that video. It was not my intent to slam your game. It was not an attempt on my part to review it poorly. It was strictly to say it's early access. My advice would be steer clear, but I should have continued that and I should have explained why, and I didn't. And hopefully in this video, I've explained that to you and you accept that. But you don't have to. But that's my reasoning. So again, just an apology to you, the author, for misrepresenting your game, right? I can see definitely the way you interact with, the people in your community, the early access backers, that you're somebody who's, as passionate as I am in your own area of game development. To me, you look like a developer like the Trace brothers, Corey, Trace, another indie game company that I back and have purchased almost all their games on Android and iOS without question, because I know it's going to be quality, right? And I can see, like them, you take the time to listen and, chat with the people who purchase your game and take their constructive advice. So again, hopefully this video clarifies things. And if at the end of the day, there's still hatred towards me for that, fine. That's okay. I'm okay with that. But I did feel like I should apologize for the way that came across in the video. And whether that's accepted or not, I genuinely hope it is. That's where I was coming from. I did a very poor-ass job of explaining that in the video. I didn't clarify it like I should have. Hopefully this does. And that's about it, guys. I'm going to wrap up this video, but I will be back. Like I said, I'm going to do a formal review on Octoshield and let you know my feelings in that. As always, guys, cheers.